to lock the oscillator to the horizontal, then it would be straight up and down, because each scan line, it's starting at the left side of the screen, and the oscillations are then a certain period of time from that horizontal sync, and then the next horizontal sync, it happens again from that same point of time. And so as the frequency changes, the bars are stationary based on the left side of the screen. But if we're free running, then as the frequency goes up, we get bars going in all these different angles. And we're going through them very quickly because we're set to coarse. If we go to the fine mode, or even go to the medium mode, you can see them going through all these different angles as they rotate around, going through the frequencies. And each time it rotates around, you add another bar, so you get more and more bars each time. So, we get 10 times, 11 times, 12 times, etc., the horizontal rate. And so those bars get smaller and smaller. And this keeps on going. We can get more and more bars. And eventually those bars start getting tiny to the point of being like pixels. Now, eventually they get so small that in composite video, there's a frequency known as subcarrier. Composite video is made up, color composite video at least, is made up of two signals. There's a black and white component, which is a voltage that goes up and down, where the lower the voltage is, the darker the image is, the higher the voltage is, the whiter the image is. Mixed onto that is a high-frequency oscillation called subcarrier. That frequency is so high that you don't really see it in the image. And it's separated out by the monitor or the recorder, and it's used as a way of carrying color information that's mixed with the black and white information. The strength of that subcarrier, the intensity of that oscillation, is the saturation of the color, the intensity of the color. The phase of that oscillation is the hue of the color. So by superimposing that oscillation onto the black and white, you superimpose color onto the black and white. When this oscillator gets up fast enough, it gets to that point where it creates an oscillation at the frequency of subcarrier. And then it starts fooling the monitor or the recorder into seeing colors.
Oh, cool.
Now, it doesn't just give you like one color or like a big solid field of color. It is possible, but to get to that frequency is such an exact frequency that it's extremely difficult to do. It is something you can do, but you'd sit here turning that knob over and over and over again trying to find that one frequency.
Or you could just put a subcarrier lock in there.
What I did was I hooked up a frequency meter and then
Right.
tuned it using the frequency meter.
Right.
And
you could get a frequency counter to count for you.
Yeah, and it still took me 10 minutes, but I was able to get a solid field of color. But at this point, what it's doing is it's not the exact frequency, but it's close. So to the monitor, it looks like it's constantly shifting phase. So it's a little off frequency, so it looks like it's going through all the colors over and over and over again. And then you can play around with the getting different frequencies in that kind of range, and you'll get different number of stripes and different patterns of the colored colors going in different directions and stuff like that. But that's all happening just because it's up at that 3.5 megahertz, that really high frequency. And the oscillator will keep going beyond that. And beyond that, you get into this kind of very high frequency moire, very fine textures. And then eventually you get to the point where the oscillator, the screen eventually just kind of turns gray. And that happens because now the oscillator is so high frequency that one cycle of the oscillation is smaller than 1 pixel of the video. The composite video goes up to about 5.5 megahertz. This oscillator goes to 6.5 megahertz. So at this point, one cycle of the oscillator is faster than 1 pixel of the video. So
have you built components that work with PAL?
yes, this system